Then the Lord summoned Moses and spoke to him from the tent of meat. 2-inch speak to the Israelites and tell them, when any of you brings in offering to the Lord from the livestock, you may bring your offering from the herd or the flock. 3-inch if his offering is a burnt offering from the herd, he is to bring an unblemished male. He will bring it to the entrance to the tent of meeting so that he may be accepted by the Lord. For he is to lay his hand on the head of the burnt offering so it can be accepted on his behalf to make atonement for him. 5 He is to slaughter the bull before the Lord. Aaron's sons the priests are to present the blood and splatter it on all sides of the altar that is at the entrance to the tent of meeting. 6 Then he is to skin the burnt offering and cut it into pieces. 7 The sons of Aaron the priest will prepare a fire on the altar and arrange wood on the fire. 8 Aaron's sons the priests are to arrange the pieces, the head, and the fat on top of the burning wood on the altar. 9 The offerer is to wash its entrails and legs with water. Then the priest will burn all of it on the altar as a burnt offering, a fire offering of a pleasing aroma to the Lord. 10-inch But if his offering for a burnt offering is from the flock, from sheep or goats, he is to present an unblemished male. 11 He will slaughter it on the north side of the altar before the Lord. Aaron's sons the priests will splatter its blood against the altar on all sides. 12 He will cut the animal into pieces with its head and its fat, and the priest will arrange them on top of the burning wood on the altar. 13 But he is to wash the entrails and legs with water. The priest will then present all of it and burn it on the altar. It is a burnt offering, a fire offering of a pleasing aroma to the Lord. 14-inch If his offering to the Lord is a burnt offer ing of birds, he is to present his offering from the turtle doves or young pigeons. 15 Then the priest is to bring it to the altar and will twist off its head and burn it on the altar. Its blood should be drained at the side of the altar. 16 He will remove its digestive tract, cutting off the tail feath airs, and throw it on the east side of the altar at the place for ashes. 17 He will tear it open by its wings without dividing the bird. Then the priest is to burn it on the altar on top of the burning wood. It is a burnt offering, a fire offering of a pleasing aroma to the Lord. When any one presents a grain offering as an offering to the Lord, it is to consist of fine flour. He is to pour olive oil on it, put frankincense on it, too, and bring it to Aaron's sons the priests. The priest will take a handful of fine flour and oil from it, along with all its frankincense, and will burn this memorial portion of it on the altar, a fire offering of a pleasing aroma to the Lord. 3 But the rest of the grain offering will belong to Aaron and his sons. It is the holiest part of the fire offerings to the Lord. For inch what you present a grain offering baked in an oven, it is to be made of fine flour, either unleavened cakes mixed with oil or unleavened wafers coated with oil. 5 If your offering is a grain offering prepared on a griddle, it is to be unleavened bread made of fine flour mixed with oil. 6 Break it into pieces and pour oil on. It is a grain offering. 7 If your offering is a grain offering prepared in a pan, it is to be made of fine flour with oil. 8 When you bring to the Lord the grain offering made in any of these ways, it is to be presented to the priest, and he will take it to the altar. 9 The priest will remove the memorial portion from the grain offering and burn it on the altar, a fire offer of a pleasing aroma to the Lord. 10 But the rest of the grain offering will belong to Aaron and his sons. It is the holiest part of the fire offerings to the Lord. 11-inch No grain offering that you present to the Lord is to be made with yeast, for you are not to burn any yeast or honey as a fire offering to the Lord. 12 You may present them to the Lord as an offering of firstfruits, but they are not to be offered on the altar as a pleasing aroma. 13. You are to season each of your grain offerings with salt. You must not omit from your grain offering the salt of the covenant with your God. You are to present salt with each of your offerings. 14. If you present a grain offering of first fruits to the Lord, you are to the fire for your grain offering of first fruits. 15. You are to put oil and frankincense on it. It is a grain offering. 16. The priest will then burn some of its crushed kernels and oil with all its frankincense as a fire offering to the Lord, if his /inferring is a fellowship sacrifice, and he is /incenting and an imel from the herd, whether male or female, he is to present one without blemish before the Lord. 2. He is to lay his hand on the head of his offering, and slaughter it at the entrance to the tent of meeting. Then Aaron's sons the priests will splatter the blood on all sides of the altar. 3. He will present part of the fellowship sacrifice as a fire offering to the Lord, the fat surrounding the entrails, all the fat that is on the entrails. 4. And the 2 kidneys with the fat on them at the loins. He will also remove the fatty lobe of the liver with the kidneys. 5. Aaron's sons will burn it on the altar along with the burnt offering that is on the burning wood, a fire offering of a pleasing aroma to the Lord. 6. If his offering as a fellowship sacrifice to the Lord is from the flock, he is to present a male or female without blemish. 7. If he presenting a lamb for his offering, he is to present it before the Lord. 8. He must lay his hand on the head of his offering, then slaughter it before the tent of meeting. Aaron's sons will splatter its blood on all sides of the altar. 9. He will then present part of the fellowship sacrifice as a fire offering to the Lord, consisting of its fat and the entire fat tail, which he is to remove close to the backbone. He will also remove the fat surrounding the entrails, all the fat on the entrails. 10. The 2 kidneys with the fat on them at the loins and the fatty lobe of the liver above the kidneys. 11. Then the priest will burn the food on the altar as a fire offering to the Lord. 12. If his offering is a goat, he is to present it before the Lord. 13. He must lay his hand on its head and slaughter it before the tent of meat. Engineer. Aaron's sons will splatter its blood on all sides of the altar. 14. He will present part of his offering as a fire offering to the Lord, the fat surrounding the entrails, all the fat that is on the entrails. 15. And the 2 kidneys with the fat on them at the loins. He will also remove the fatty lobe of the liver with the kidneys. 16. Then the priest will burn the food on the altar as a fire offering for a pleasing aroma. All fat belongs to the Lord. 17. This is a permanent statute throughout your generations. Wherever you live, you must not eat any fat or any blood. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, the Israelites, when one sins intentionally against any of the Lord's commands, and does anything prohibited by them. 3. If the anointed priest sins, bringing guilt on the people, he is to present to the Lord a young, unblemished bull as a sink offering for the sin he has committed, for he is to bring the bull to the entrance to the tent of meeting before the Lord, lay his hand on the bull's head, and slaughter it before the Lord. 5. The anointed priest will then take some of the bull's blood and bring it into the tent of meeting. 6. The priest is to dip his finger in the blood and sprinkle some of it 7 times before the Lord in front of the curtain of the sanctuary. 7. The priest is to apply some of the blood to the horns of the altar of fragrant incense that is before the Lord in the tent of meeting. must pour out the rest of the bull's blood at the base of the altar of burnt offering, that is, at the entrance to the tent of meeting. 8. He is to remove all the fat from the bull of the sin offering, the fat surrounding the entrails, all the fat that is on the entrails. 9. And the 2 kidneys with the fat on them at the loins. He will also remove the fatty lobe of the liver with the kidneys. 10. Just as the fat is removed from the ox of the fellowship sacrifice, the priest is to burn them on the altar of burnt offering. 11. But the hide of the bull and all its flesh, with its head and legs and its entrails and waist. 12. All the rest of the bull he must bring to a ceremonially clean place outside / camp to the ash heap, and must burn it on a wood fire. It is to be burned at the ash heap. 13. Now if the whole community of Israel errs, and the matter escapes the notice of the assembly, so that they violate any of the Lord's commands and incur guilt by doing what is prohibited. 14. Then the assembly must present a young bull as a sin offering. They are to bring it before the tent of meeting when sin they have committed in regard to the command becomes known. 15. The elders of community are to lay their hands on the bull's head before the Lord, and it is to be slaughtered before the Lord. 16. The anointed priest will bring some of the bull's blood into tent of meeting. 17. The priest is to dip his finger in the blood and sprinkle it 7 times before the Lord in front of the curtain. 18. He is to apply some of the blood to the horns of the altar that is before the Lord in the tent of meeting. He will pour out the rest of the blood at the base of the altar of burnt offering. That is at the entrance to the tent of meeting. 19. He is to remove all the fat from it and burn it on the altar. 20. He is to offer this bull just as he did with the bull in the sin offering. He will offer it the same way. So the priest will make atonement on their behalf, and they will be forgiven. 21. Then he will bring the bull outside the camp and burn it just as he burned the first bull. It is the sin offering for the assembly. 22. What a leader sins and unintentionally violates any of the commands of the Lord his God by doing what is prohibited and incurs guilt. 23. Or someone informs him about the sin he has committed, he is to bring an unblemished male goat as his offering. 24. He is to lay his hand on the head of the goat and slaughter it at the place where the burnt of fearing is slaughtered before the Lord. It is a sin offering. 25. Then the priest is to take some of the blood from the sin offering with his finger and apply it to the horns of the altar of burnt offering. The rest of its blood he is to pour out at the base of the altar of burnt offer. 26. He must burn all its fat on the altar, like the fat of the fellowship sacrifice. In this way, the priest will make atonement on his behalf for that person's sin, and he will be forgiven. 27. Now if any of the common people sins unintentionally by violating one of the Lord's commands, does what is prohibited, and incurs guilt. 28. Or if someone informs him about the sin he has committed, then he is to bring an unblemished female goat as his offering for the sin that he has committed. 29. He is to lay his hand on the head of the sin offering and slaughter it at the place of the burnt offering. 30. Then the priest is to take some of its blood with his finger and apply it to the horns of the altar of burnt offering. He is to pour out the rest of its blood at the base of the altar. 31. He is to remove all its fat, just as the fat is removed from the fellowship sacrifice. The priest is to burn it on the altar as a pleasing aroma to the Lord. In this way the priest will make atonement meant on his behalf, and he will be forgiven. 32-inch, or if the offering that he brings as a sin offering is a lamb, he is to bring an unblemished female. 33, he is to lay his hand on the head of the sin offering and slaughter it as a sin offering at the place where the burnt offering is slaughtered. 34, then the priest is to take some of the blood of the sin offering with his finger and apply it to the horns of the altar of burnt offering. He is to pour out the rest of its blood at the base of the altar. 35. He is to remove all its fat, just as the fat of the lamb is removed from the fellowship sacrifice. The priest will burn it on the altar along with the fire offerings to the Lord. In this way the priest will make atonement on his behalf for the sin he has committed, and he will be forgiven. When someone sins in any of these ways, if he has seen, heard, or known about something he has witnessed and did not respond to a public call to testify, he will bear his iniquity. 2, or if someone touches anything unclean, a carcass of an unclean wild animal, or unclean livestock, or an unclean swarming creature without being aware of it, he is unclean and incurs guilt. 3, or if he touches human uncleanness, any uncleanness by which one can become defiled without being aware of it but later recognizes it, he incurs guilt. 4, or if someone swears rashly to do what is good or evil concerning anything, a person may speak rashly in an oath without being aware of it but later recognizes it, he incurs guilt in such an instance. 5, if someone incurs guilt in one of these cases, he is to confess he has committed that sin. 6, he must bring his penalty for guilt for the sin. He must bring his penalty for guilt for the sin he has committed to the Lord, a female lamb or goat from the flock as a sin offering. In this way the priest will make atonement on his behalf for his sin. 7-inch, but if he cannot afford an animal from the flock, then he may bring to the Lord 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons as penalty for guilt for his sin, one as a sin offering and the other as a burnt offering. He is to bring them to the priest, who will first present the one for the sin offering. He is to twist its head at the back of the neck without severing it. 9, then he will sprinkle some of the blood of the sin offering on the side of the altar, while the rest of the blood is to be drained out at the base of the altar. It is a sin offering. 10, he will prepare the second bird as a burnt offering, according to the regulation. In this way the priest will make atonement on his behalf for the sin he has committed, and he will be forgiven. 11-inch, that if he cannot afford 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons, he may bring 2 quarts of fine flour as an offering for his sin. He must not put olive oil or frankincense on it, for it is a sin offering. 12, he is to bring it to the priest, who will take a handful from it as its memorial portion and burn it on the altar along with the fire offerings to the Lord. It is a sin offering. 13, in this way the priest will make atonement on his behalf concerning the sin he has committed in any of these cases, and he will be forgiven. The rest will belong to the priest, like the grain offering, the guilt offering. 14, then the Lord spoke to Moses. 15-inch, if someone offends by sinning unintentionally in regard to any of the Lord's holy things, see, he must bring his penalty for guilt to the Lord, an unblemished ram from the flock, based on your assessment of its value in silver shekels according to the sanctuary shekel, as a guilt offering. 16, he is to make restitution for his sin regarding any holy thing, adding 1/5 of its value to it and give it to the priest. Then the priest will make atonement on his behalf with the ram of the guilt offering, and he will be forgiven. 17-inch, if someone sins and without knowing it violates any of the Lord's commands concern. Anything prohibited, he is guilty and he will bear his iniquity. 18 He must bring an unblemished ram from the flock according to your assessment of its value as a guilt offering to the priest. Then the priest will make atonement on his behalf for the error he has committed unintentionally, and he will be forgiven. 19 It 7 In this way the priest will make atonement on his behalf before the Lord, and he will be forgiven for anything he may have done to incur guilt. The burnt offering. 8 The Lord spoke to Moses. 9-inch command Aaron and his sons. This is the law of the burnt of fearing. The burnt offering itself must remain on the altar's hearth all night until morning, while the fire of the altar is kept burning on. 10 The priest is to put on his linen robe and linen undergarments. He is to remove the ashes of the burnt offering the fire has consumed on the altar and place them beside the altar. 11 Then he will take off his garments, put on other clothes, and bring the ashes outside the camp to a ceremonially clean place. 12 The fire on the altar is to be kept burning. It must not go out. Every morning the priest will burn wood on the fire. He is to arrange the burnt offering on the fire and burn the fat portions from the fellowship offerings on it. 13 Fire must be kept burning on the altar continually. It must not go out. The grain offering. 14-inch Now this is the law of the grain offering. Aaron's sons will present it before the Lord in front of the altar. 15 The priest is to remove a handful of fine flour and olive oil from the grain offering with all the frankincense that is on the offering and burn its memorial pour tie-in on the altar as a pleasing aroma to the Lord. 16 Aaron and his sons may eat the rest of it. It is to be eaten in the form of unleavened bread in a holy place. They are to eat it in the courtyard of the tent of meeting. 17 It must not be baked with yeast. I have assigned it as their portion from my fire offerings. It is especially holy, like the sin offering and the guilt offering. 18 Any male among Aaron's descendants may eat it. It is a permanent portion throughout your generations from the fire offerings to the Lord. Anything that touches the offerings will become holy. Holy. 19 The Lord spoke to Moses. 20-inch This is the offering that Aaron and his sons are to present to the Lord in the day that he is anointed. 2 quarts B of fine flour as a regular grain offering, half of it in the morning and half in the evening. 21 It is to be prepared with oil on a griddle. You are to bring it well kneaded. You are to present it as a grain offering of baked pieces, a pleasing aroma to the Lord. 22 The priest, who is one of Aaron's sons and will be anointed to take his place, is to prepare it. It must be completely burned as a permanent portion for the Lord. 23 Every grain offering for a priest will be a whole burnt offering. It is not to be eaten. The sin offering. 24 Offering. 24 The Lord spoke to Moses. 25-inch Tell Aaron and his sons. This is the law of the sin offering. The sin offering is most holy and must be slaughtered before the Lord at the place where the burnt offering is slaughtered. 26 The priest who offers it as a sin offering will eat it. It is to be eaten in a holy place, in the courtyard of the tent of meeting. 27 Anything that touches its flesh will become holy, and if any of its blood spatters on a garment, then you must wash that garment in a holy place. 28 A clay pot in which the sin offering is boiled is to be broken. If it is boiled in a bronze vessel, it is to be scoured and rinsed with water. 29 Any male among the priests may eat it. It is especially holy. 30 But no sin offering may be eaten if its blood has been brought into the tent of meeting to make atonement in the holy place. It must be burned now. This is the law of the guilt o. For ing. It is special ly holy. 2. The guilt o for. Ing is to be slaughtered at the place where the burnt offering is slaughtered, and the priest is to splatter its blood on all sides of the altar. 3. The offerer is to present all the fat from it. The fat tail, the fat surrounding the entrails, F4, and the 2 kidneys, with the fat on them at the loins. He will also remove the fatty lobe of the liver with the kidneys. 5. The priest will burn them on the altar as a fire offering to the Lord. It is a guilt offering. 6. Any male among the priests may eat it. It is to be eaten in a holy place. It is especially holy. Guilt offering is like the sin offering. The law is the same for both. It belongs to the priest who makes atonement with it. 8. As for the priest who presents someone's burnt of fearing, the hide of the burnt offering he has presented belongs to him. It is the priest's. 9. Any grain offering that is baked in an oven or prepared in a pan or on a griddle belongs to the priest who presents it. It is his. 10. But any grain offering, whether dry or mixed with oil, belongs equally to all of Aaron's sons. The fellowship sacrifice 11 inch. Now this is the law of the fellowship sacrifice that someone may present to the Lord. 12. If he presents it for thanksgiving, in addition to the thanksgiving sacrifice, he is to present unleavened cakes mixed with olive oil, unleavened wafers coated with oil, and well-kneaded cakes of fine flour mixed with oil. 13. He is to present as his offering cakes of leavened bread with his thanksgiving sacrifice of fellowship. 14. From the cakes he is to present 1 portion of each offering as a contribution to the Lord. It will belong to the priest who splatters the blood of the fellowship offering. It is his. 15. The meat of his thanksgiving sacrifice of fellowship must be eaten on the day he offers it. He may not leave any of it until morning. 16 inch. If the sacrifice he offers is a vow or a free will offering, it is to be eaten on the day he presents his sacrifice, and what is left over may be eaten on the next day. 17. But what remains of the sacrificial meat by the 3rd day must be burned. 18. If any of the meat of his fellowship sacrifice is eaten on the 3rd day, it will not be accepted. It will not be credited to the one who presents it. It is repulsive. The person who eats any of it will bear his iniquity. 19 inch. Meat that touches anything unclean must not be eaten. It is to be burned. Everyone who is clean may eat any other meat. 20. But the one who eats meat from the Lord's fellowship sacrifice while he is unclean, that person must be cut off from his people. 21. If someone touches anything unclean, whether human uncleanness, an unclean animal, or any unclean, abhorrent be creature, and eats meat from the Lord's fellowship sacrifice, that person is to be cut off from his people. Fat and blood prohibited. 22. The Lord spoke to Moses. 23 inch. Tell the Israelites, you are not to eat any fat of an ox, sheep, or a goat. 24. The fat of an animal that dies naturally or is mauled by wild beasts may be used for any other purpose, but you must not eat it. 25. If anyone eats animal fat from a fire offering presented to the Lord, the person who eats it is to be cut off from his people. 26. Wherever you live, you must not eat the blood of any bird or animal. 27. Whoever eats any blood is to be cut off from his people. The portion for the priests. 28. The Lord spoke to Moses. 29 inch. Tell the Israelites, the one who presents a fellowship sacrifice to the Lord is to bring an offering to the Lord from his sacrifice. 30. His own hands will bring the fire offerings to the Lord. He will bring the fat together with the breast. The breast is to be presented as a presenta tie-in offering before the Lord. 31 The priest is to burn the fat on the altar, but the breast belongs to Aaron and his sons. 32 You are to give the right thigh to the priest as a contribution from your fellowship sacrifices. 33 The son of Aaron who presents the blood of the fellowship offering and the fat will have the right thigh as a portion. 34 I have taken from the Israelites the breast of the presentation. An offering and the thigh of the contribution from their fellowship sacrifices, and have assigned. Them to the priest Aaron and to his sons as a permanent portion from the Israelites. 35 This is the portion from the fire offerings to the Lord for Aaron and his sons since the day they were presented to serve the Lord as priests. 36 The Lord commanded this to be given to them by the Israelites. On the day he anointed them, it is a permanent portion throughout their generations. 37 This is the law for the burnt offering, the grain offering, the sin offering, the guilt offer, the ordination offering, and the fellowship sacrifice. 38 Which the Lord commanded Moses on Mount Sinai on the day he commanded the Israelites to present their offerings to the Lord in the wilderness of Sinai. The Lord spoke to Moses, 2-inch take. Aaron, his sons with him, the garments, the anointing oil, the bull of the sinf offering, the 2 rams, and the basket of unleavened bread. 3 And assemble the whole community at the entrance to the tent of meeting. For so Moses did as the 5 Moses said to them, This is what the Lord has commanded to be done. 6 Then Moses presented Aaron and his sons and washed them with water. 7 He put the tunic on Aaron, wrapped the sash around him, clothed him with the robe and put the ephod on him. He put the woven band of the ephod around him and fastened it to him. 8 Then he put the breastpiece on him and placed the Urim and Thummim into the breastpiece. 9 He also put the turban on his head and placed the gold medallion, the holy diadem, on the front of the turban as the Lord had commanded Moses. 10 Then Moses took the anointing oil and anointed the tabernacle and everything in it to consecrate them. 11 He sprinkled some of the oil on the altar 7 times, anointing the altar with all its utensils and the basin with its stand, to consecrate them. 12 He poured some of the anointing oil on Aaron's head and anointed and consecrated him. 13 Then Moses presented Aaron's sons, clothed them with tunics, wrapped sashes around them, and fastened headbands on them as the Lord had commanded Moses. 14 Then he brought the bull near for the sin offering, and Aaron and his sons laid their hands on the head of the bull for the sin offering. 15 Then Moses slaughtered it. Took the blood and applied it with his finger to the horns of the altar on all sides, purifying the altar. He poured out the blood at the base of the altar and consecrated it so that atonement can be made on it. 16 Moses took all the fat that was on the entrails, the fatty lobe of the liver, and the 2 kidneys with their fat, and he burned them on the altar. 17 He burned the bull with its hide, flesh and waste outside the camp as the Lord had commanded Moses. 18 Then he presented the ram for the burnt offering, and Aaron and his sons laid their hands on the head of the ram. 19 Moses slaughtered it and splattered the blood on all sides of the altar. 20 Moses cut the ram into pieces and burned the head, the pieces and the fat. 21 But he washed the entrails and legs with water. He then burned the entire ram on the altar. It was a burnt offering for a pleasing aroma, a fire offering to the Lord as he had commanded Moses. 22 Next he presented the second ram, the ram of ordination, and Aaron and his sons laid their hands on the head of the ram. 23 Moses slaughtered it. Took some of its blood and put it on Aaron's right earlobe, on the thumb of his right hand, and on the big toe of his right foot. 24 Moses also presented Aaron's sons and put some of the blood on their right earlobes, on the thumbs of their right hands and on the big toes of their right feet. Then Moses splattered the blood on all sides of the altar. 25 He took the fat tail, all the fat that was on the entrails, the fatty lobe of the liver and the 2 kidneys, with their fat as well as the right thigh. 26 From the basket of unleavened bread that was before the Lord he took 1 cake of unleavened bread, 1 cake of bread made with oil and 1 wafer, and placed them on the fat portions and the right thigh. 27 He put all these in the hands of Aaron and his sons and presented them before the Lord as a presentation offering. 28 Then Moses took them from their hands and burned them on the altar with the burnt offering. This was an ordination offering for a pleasing aroma, a fire offering to the Lord. 29 He also took the breast and presented it before the Lord as a presentation offering. It was Moses's portion of the ordination ram as the Lord had commanded him. 30 Then Moses took some of the anointing oil and some of the blood that was on the altar and sprinkled them on Aaron and his garments as well as on his sons and their garments. In this way he consecrated Aaron and his garments, as well as his sons and their garments. 31 Moses said to Aaron and his sons, Boil the meat at the entrance to the tent of meeting and eat it there, with the bread that is in the basket for the ordination offering as I commanded. Aaron and his sons are to eat it. 32 Burn up what remains of the meat and bread. 33 Do not go outside the entrance to the tent of meeting for 7 days until the time your days of ordination are completed, because it will take 7 days to ordain you. 34 The Lord commanded what has been done today in order to make atonement for you. 35 You must remain at the entrance to the tent of meeting day and night for 7 days and keep the Lord's charge so that you will not die, for this is what I was commanded. 36 So Aaron and his sons did everything the Lord had commanded through Moses. On the 8th day, Moses summoned Aaron, his sons, and the elders of Israel. 2 He said to Aaron, Take a young bull for a sin offering, and a ram for a burnt offering, both without blemish, and present them before the Lord. 3 And tell the Israelites, Take a male goat for a sin offering, a calf and a lamb male, yearlings without blemish, for a burnt offering, for an ox and a ram for a fellowship offering to sacrifice before the Lord, and a grain offering, mixed with oil, for today the Lord is going to appear to you. 5 They brought what Moses had commanded to the front of the tent of meeting, and the whole community came forward and stood before the Lord. 6 Moses said, This is what the Lord commanded you to do, that the glory of the Lord may appear to you. 7 Then Moses said to Aaron, Approach the altar and sacrifice your sin offering and your burnt offering. Make atonement for yourself and the people. Sacrifice the people's offering and make atonement for them, as the Lord commanded. 8 So Aaron approached the altar and slaughtered the calf as a sin offering for himself. 9 Aaron's sons brought the blood to him, and he dipped his finger in the blood and applied it to the horns of the altar. He poured out the blood at the base of the altar. 10 He burned the fat, the kidneys, and the fatty lobe of the liver from the sin offering on the altar, as the Lord had commanded Moses. 11 He burned the flesh and the hide outside the camp. 12 Then he slaughtered the burnt offering. Aaron's sons brought him the blood, and he splattered it on all sides of the altar. 13 They brought him the burnt offering piece by piece, along with the head, and he burned them on the altar. 14 He washed the entrails and the legs and burned them with the burnt offering on the altar. 15 Aaron presented the people's offering. He took the male goat for the people's sin offering, slaughtered it, and made a sin offering with it as he did before. 16. He presented the burnt offering and sacrificed it according to the regulation. 17. Next he presented the grain offering, took a handful of it, and burned it on the altar in addition to the morning burnt offering. 18. Finally, he slaughtered the ox and the ram as the people's fellowship sacrifice. Aaron's sons brought him the blood, and he splattered it on all sides of the altar. 19. They also brought the fat portions from the ox and the ram, the fat tail, the fat surrounding the entrails, the kidneys, and the fatty lobe of the liver. 20. And placed these on the breasts. Aaron burned the fat portions on the altar. 21. But he presented the breasts and the right thigh as a presentation offering before the Lord, as Moses had commanded. At 22. Aaron lifted up his hands toward the people and blessed them. He came down after sacrificing the sin offering, the burnt offering, and the fellowship offering. Regulations for priests. 8. The Lord spoke to Aaron. 9. You and your sons are not to drink wine or beer when you enter the tent of meeting, or else you will die. This is a permanent statute throughout your generations. 10. You must distinguish between the holy and the common, and the clean and the unclean. 11. And teach the Israelites all the statutes that the Lord has given to them through Moses. 12. Moses spoke to Aaron and his remaining sons, Eleazar and Ithamar. Take the grain offering that is left over from the fire offerings to the Lord, and eat it prepared without yeast beside the altar, because it is especially holy. 13. You must eat it in a holy place because it is your portion, and your sons from the fire offerings to the Lord, for this is what I was commanded. 14. But you and your sons and your daughters may eat the breast of the presentation offering and the thigh of the contribution in any ceremonially clean place, because these portions have been assigned to you and your children from the Israelites' fellowship sacrifices. 15. They are to bring the thigh of the contribution and the breast of the presentation offering, together with the offerings of fat portions made by fire, to present as a presentation offering before the Lord. It will belong permanently to you and your children, as the Lord commanded. 16. Then Moses inquired carefully about the male goat of the sin offering, but it had already been burned up. He was angry with Eleazar and Ithamar, Aaron's surviving sons, and asked, 17. Why didn't you eat the sin offering in the sanctuary area? For it is especially holy, and he has assigned it to you to take away the guilt of the community and make atonement for them before the Lord. 18. Since its blood was not brought inside the sanctuary, you should have eaten it in the sanctuary area, as I commanded. 19. But Aaron replied to Moses, See, today they presented their sin offering and their burnt offering before the Lord. Since these things have happened to me, if I had eaten the sin offering today, would it have been acceptable in the Lord's sight? 20. When Moses heard this, it was acceptable to him.